Another year and another amazing E3. We got to look at so many different games, a lot of which I'm very excited about. For those of you unaware, E3 stands for the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which actually sounds pretty boring. Sounds like it's going to be a bunch of businessmen telling you about the latest iPhone. But that just isn't the case. What it actually is a collection of the world's biggest video game developers coming together to talk about their upcoming video game releases. The way this works is each developer holds a press conference, which also sounds kind of boring, but it's basically just a bunch of trailers for unannounced video games. It's super hype and also does a good job of reinvigorating me and making me even more passionate about video games. For the last couple years, Nintendo has foregone the traditional press conference setup in favor of a pre-recorded video they call a Nintendo Direct. This year's Nintendo Direct was outstanding. The best showcase they've had in years, in my opinion. It was the incredibly exhilarating cherry on top of the surprisingly mundane sundae that was E3 2019. This Direct was so good that it got me thinking about past Nintendo Directs, specifically the most recent Nindies showcase, the one where they first showed off Cadence of Hyrule, the video game I'm going to be talking about here in a couple minutes. Every time Nintendo announces a Nindies showcase, I have the same thought. Do we really need this? Can't we just group these with the bigger Nintendo Directs? And it was the Nindies Direct that aired in spring 2019 that cemented in my mind that yes, we do in fact need these. This Nindies Direct was way more hype than it had any right to be. Allow me to explain. The video started out with this odd trailer of a live-action man explaining how to properly pour milk into a bowl.
Good morning. I am Dr. J.M. Lounsbury from the Ministry of Drink and Health Regulation. While many working adults start their day with coffee, we recommend to switch to milk to complete your regimen of nutrifying activity.
Then he puts on this creepy mask. I had no idea what to expect. I thought maybe it was a new horror game or something, and I wasn't quite sure why they chose to start the Direct off with such a weird trailer. And then all of a sudden, Cuphead is here. Cuphead? You mean Microsoft's Cuphead? Coming to Switch? Oh, this is great. I never thought I'd see the day. This was such a strong start. There's no way they can top this.
Blaster Master 02. Available today.
Yes, that's right. Not only did they announce Cuphead, but they stealth dropped Blaster Master 02 and showed off a number of other indie games that looked just as good, including My Friend Pedro, Stranger Things 3 the game, which we already knew about but now had confirmation that it was coming to Switch, Katana Zero, Double Fine's new Project Rad, a port of Nuclear Throne, and so much more. When the two hosts started talking about a sale that was currently happening on the Nintendo eShop intending to highlight some select indie titles, I knew the Direct was winding down. But no Nintendo Direct, not even a Nindies Direct, would be complete without a "you thought we were done, but there's just one more announcement" section. The trailer starts with the words, "From the creators of Crypt of the Necrodancer," and I was immediately intrigued. Brace Yourself Games, the people who developed Crypt of the Necrodancer, currently only have just the one game they've ever released, so I was very excited to see what they would do next. The trailer started, but as near as I could tell, it was just Crypt of the Necrodancer again, but with a slightly different art style. Well, alright, I'm down for a Crypt of the Necrodancer too, especially if it's a Switch exclusive. That probably means they got a little more funding. And then, all of a sudden, as abruptly as Cuphead appeared, so did the main theme from The Legend of Zelda.
It looks like I've got work to do.
I couldn't believe it. Nintendo was letting Brace Yourself Games, an indie developer, use the license to The Legend of Zelda to develop a brand new Crypt of the Necrodancer game with a Zelda skin. Not only that, but it looked like Link and Zelda were going to be playable. This was huge. Nintendo had thrown indie developers a bone before, but never to this caliber. Ubisoft was recently thrown the Mario IP to make a standalone game featuring Mario characters and the rabbits from Rayman, but Ubisoft isn't an indie developer. Shovel Knight got his own amiibo, which was significant due to the fact that this was the first indie game to receive amiibo support, let alone its own amiibo. Shovel Knight also appeared in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as an assist trophy, making him the first indie character to, in one way or another, make it to the big stage in Smash Bros. Shantae also made an appearance in Ultimate, but only as a JPEG. Spirit. Cutting forward a couple months back to E3 2019, where the outstanding Nintendo Direct is already underway, and another trailer drops for Cadence of Hyrule. We've heard virtually no information on this game since the Nindies Direct, but I had a feeling that we were going to be hearing from this game very soon. And then, this happened. If you get hit or if you jump out of beat, you lose your combo multiplier or whatever. Oh, that was a release date. I totally missed it. Did you see what it said?
No, but look at this.
Yeah, this is Mario and Sonic. And wouldn't you know it, when I looked up the release date after the fact, it was set to come out in just 2 days. 2 days? Financially? I need a little more warning than that, Nintendo. Especially because the game is $25. Cheap for a AAA game, but a little on the pricier side for an indie game. Due to this price tag, and because I'm a massive butt baby, I decided I would wait and not buy the game at launch. And then, I watched the Nintendo Treehouse. During the Treehouse this year, the developer of Cadence of Hyrule was showing off a few things about the game. The way he was talking about the game and the gameplay he was showing convinced me that this was a game that I needed. Now, I've talked a lot about Crypt of the Necrodancer, but what is it exactly? Crypt of the Necrodancer is a roguelike rhythm game developed by Brace Yourself Games and released on Steam in April of 2015 and released on various consoles at later dates. It combined classic elements of roguelikes with that of a DDR-style rhythm game. The way they achieved this is by having the dungeon layout be formed on a grid, similar to that of a mystery dungeon game. Down the bottom of the screen, there's a beat that's constantly pulsing. You, the player, and every single enemy can only move on the beat. If you get hurt or move off the beat, your multiplier goes down. Simple as that. Cadence of Hyrule is an action-adventure rhythm game with elements of a roguelike dungeon crawler, developed by Brace Yourself Games and released exclusively on the Nintendo Switch in June of 2019. The game brings elements of both The Legend of Zelda and Crypt of the Necrodancer, and the way it achieved this really surprised and intrigued me. The game map is set up like Link to the Past. You're on one screen, you kill all the monsters, or don't, you move on to the next screen, and in between screens is a rather slow screen transition. In Cadence of Hyrule, however, when you're on a screen with monsters on it, you have to abide by the rhythm of the song currently playing. If you've successfully dispatched all the enemies on a given screen, the constant ticking beat shuts off and you can walk around freely until the next time you encounter monsters. Here's where it gets interesting. Every time you enter a dungeon or cave, the game shifts into a classic Crypt of the Necrodancer game, right down to its procedurally generated maps. Here's where I got a little nervous. I'm not very good at Crypt of the Necrodancer. I never beat it, I barely even got past level 2, and I only ever unlocked one extra character. But Cadence of Hyrule does such a good job of combining the elements of both games that it almost feels like these games were always meant to pair up. Just the fact that you can get more than a couple hearts alone was enough to make me feel like I was good at the game. Because I'm not gonna lie, I still suck at it. And the fact that by the end of the game I had about 16 hearts and 3 bottles I filled with expensive potions to ensure that when I die I get instantly revived is about the only reason I even came close to beating this game, let alone beating it in under 8 hours. But that's the charm of Cadence of Hyrule. While I was playing it, I felt like it wanted me to succeed. Roguelikes by nature give me the feeling of, this game wants me to fail, so I'll have to get good at it to teach it a lesson. Be careful who you pick on in middle school, Binding of Isaac, because by the time they reach adulthood, they'll have put a whole 180 hours into you and unlocked all 20 of your... This analogy got away from me. The point is, I didn't get this feeling in Cadence of Hyrule. I really felt like the developers wanted me to experience the entire scope and breadth of their game and have fun doing it. In Crypt of the Necrodancer, similar to most roguelikes, you have certain items and currencies that stay with you when you get a game over, and certain items that you lose permanently. And this game is no different. Look at this screen. Everything in these boxes are items you keep permanently, while everything in these boxes you lose and have to recollect. Just like in its predecessor, you have 2 currencies, rupees and diamonds. Rupees go away when you get a game over, sending your rupee counter back down to 0. This is probably my only complaint with Cadence of Hyrule, so let's get it out of the way now. There's not really much to do with your diamonds. Every time you get a game over, you are greeted by the Sage, who runs a diamond shop, but she only ever sells a shovel, a torch, or better versions of those 2 items. By the end of the game, I got so good at it that I found myself getting a game over rarely, and when I did get a game over, buying out her whole shop barely broke the bank. I ended my first playthrough with over 200 diamonds and nothing to do with them. Like I said, other than that, there's not really much I didn't like about the game. It kept my attention the whole way through, it's incredibly replayable, the story is actually interesting, it's got a great sense of humor, and most importantly, it was fun as hell. Oh, and the music. God, I would be so remiss if I didn't talk about the music. It was composed by Danny Baranowski. He's got a long list of credentials, but the game that he's composed music for that stuck out to me were Super Meat Boy and Binding of Isaac, along with the original Crypt of the Necrodancer, of course. Also, I've never heard of this game by the name of Desktop Dungeons, but he apparently co-composed the soundtrack to that game with Grant Kirkhope, so that's pretty cool. Danny didn't take the easy way out either. Rather than doing what I probably would have done and just adding a dance beat to existing Legend of Zelda tracks, which of course he did, but he also, in most cases, combined his music from the original Crypt of the Necrodancer with that of The Legend of Zelda. Take a listen. So that's about it. I don't really know what else I could say about this game. Stop right there. I thought I was finished writing this review. See, look, it even says finished right up there. It's been a couple days since I beat Cadence of Hyrule, and I really wanted to play it again. But I wanted to explore other options of playing this game. So, while rummaging through the options, I found a menu where you can pick a single character and play the whole game as just them. Sounded just challenging enough. So, I booted up the game with Cadence, my personal least favorite character, in an attempt to challenge myself, and I noticed something that I would have never noticed until my second playthrough. I woke up, went outside, completed the tutorial-y first screen where you acquire your first shovel, torch, and weapon, went to the next screen, and to my surprise, I was in the desert? You see, the layout of this game is similar to that of Breath of the Wild, if you can believe it, where there's 4 areas, water, forest, desert, and mountain. You defeat the 4 bosses you find there, gain access to Hyrule Castle, beat the game. Except, to my surprise, in Cadence of Hyrule, the map is completely random each time you start a new game. Back when I mentioned the game being highly replayable, I didn't even know this fact. I was merely referring to the fact that it's a fun game with clear completion goals and incentives. The fact that the entire map is procedurally generated just like the dungeons are raises this already very replayable game to even more levels of replayability. Not to mention that screen I found where you can lock yourself into a certain style of play to further challenge yourself. Anyways, let's check back in with Past Anthony. I interrupted you, man. Sorry, what were you saying? So that's about it. I don't really know what else I could say about this game. It cast its charm over me, I barely put it down while I was playing it, and I'll probably play it again real soon. This is the first review-style video that we've done on this channel, so we don't really have a rubric set up for how we're going to rate these games. So for now, I'm just going to give it a rating out of 10. So for me, this game gets a 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, no game is, but in terms of expectations, this game delivered exactly what I signed up for. I had a lot of fun playing it, and I can't wait to play it again real soon. So that's it. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I really wanted to do a review of Cadence of Hyrule. I as soon as I started playing it, I was like, this game is amazing, and I could not put it down. And without giving anything away, at the end of the game, they teased the possibility of other Crypt of the Necrodancer crossovers. So if that's what they're doing, if that's what that actually was, I'm so down. The whole time I was playing this, I was thinking this could be a Pokemon, this could work with Metroid, there's so many possibilities. But yeah, I hope you liked it. If you're new to the channel, hello, my name is Thunder. Welcome to Thunder and Lightning Gaming. There's usually another guy here with me called Lightning, but he wasn't on this one because he didn't play this game. But yeah, if you liked it, give it a like. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe. That way you can stay up to date on everything we do. We're going to be putting up a main video on Sunday each week, but there's going to be an upload every day like usual. So stay tuned for that, and I will see you later.